Om Sadashiva Samarambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Ishvaro Guratmeti Murti Veda Vibhagine Vyomabda Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Sava Vedanta Sedanta Gocharam Tamagocharam Govindam Paramanandam Satguru Pranatoshmaham Om Shanti 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 Om Namaste. Okay. So we have on page 1253, Lord Krishna, just to do the usual recap. He's teaching the topic of Vedantic meditation as a means to purify, improve, and assimilate self-knowledge. Now, as we know, meditation serves the purpose of further prepping, purifying, refining the body-mind complex so that it is more fit for the assimilation and internalization of self-knowledge. So, and he says something. The other day I saw a publication in the Facebook, people asking this question. Lately, I have been playing with Facebook because in the Advaita Vedanta group there of Paramarthananda, people have been presenting questions. And then I like to play with offering some suggestions there. And the other day they were talking about meditation, asking if one can get enlightened by meditating. Of course, when it's too complex to address such a topic, I don't go there. But I mean, it depends on what we define meditation as. So meditation from the standpoint of Vedanta, as we know, is just a reflection and contemplation of the teachings presented by the Vedas, and more specifically the Vedanta, the Upanishads. So meditation is not going to bring about self-knowledge, but it's preparing the mind for self-knowledge. According to Vedanta, meditation cannot really produce self-knowledge. It's clearly pointed out by our tradition that knowledge takes place during the Shravana, as we know. The scriptures are there with the knowledge, and the knowledge is transferred to the disciple with the help of the guru. And then this paramparam tradition is what delivers the knowledge, self-knowledge, the true nature of the self to the student. And why we want to know what's the true nature of the self, we can see from another angle, what is the true nature of God? Is because the true nature of Ishvara, Jiva, Jagat is infinite, limitless, non-dual consciousness. So it's a question of redefining oneself from the mortal body to the immortal consciousness. So self-knowledge or knowledge takes place during this interaction with the scriptures, with the help of the guru, as we know. There is no other way to get knowledge. And as we say in Vedanta, you cannot meditate unless you have studied the scriptures, because you're going to meditate upon what? The teachings that reveal the nature of the self. If you did not expose yourself to those teachings, you cannot meditate on something that you have no clue of what it is. So therefore, it's a totally different approach. Meditation is prescribed for purifying, refining, internalizing, assimilating the knowledge, as we know. So how does that happen? how does that happen? Why we do meditate? So we do not meditate just to create a silent mind, a peaceful mind, and so on, because as we know, the mind changes. The gunas operating are going to change in their proportions, and the mind is going to change. We cannot rely on a peaceful mind, because a peaceful mind just around the corner becomes disturbed mind. So our meditation which is fundamentally nididhyasana, it is an effort to understand these teachings in regards to our true nature. So we need to understand, meaning to say that we agree, we intelligently agree with all the statements of the scriptures in regards to our true nature, until at least on the intellectual level, we have no doubts anymore. We have no quarrel in regards to that. I totally agree with the scriptures. And then you got the self-knowledge. You got the knowledge. The knowledge was transferred, and now it's a doubtless, free of doubts, self-knowledge. And then we come and we say, but that is not enough yet. It needs to be internalized, digested, processed, digest, assimilated, internalized. Assimilate is the process of getting the knowledge until you have certainty that what you are is something other than the body-mind sense complex. And then how that knowledge is going to become a fact, a doubtless fact, is the process of nididhyasana, in which you can do it in the silence of your space, or you can do it while interacting with the world, having those teachings alive in your mind, available to you, to neutralize those residual pieces of ignorance that surface. So how are you going to do that? Why this meditation? Because you have to process this, and then later on it has to be converted in nourishment, in an analogy between processing food and then converting that in energy and nourishment and energy. Likewise, we need to assimilate and digest this knowledge, and then the knowledge must be free of doubt, but sometimes there is some vagueness, abstractions, that somehow they're sabotaging what is absolutely necessary to manifest as certainty of knowledge, of self-knowledge, that conviction, firm conviction. So all of this is part of the process of assimilation, digestion, internalization, and in transformation of that into the nutrition for the soul, which is moksha. Otherwise, we suffer a certain spiritual malnutrition, in spite of going through shravana, like people in the United States, more often than not, that they overeat, but still they are not getting proper nutrition. So, and then he says something very big. What is really going to bless the soul, the moksha, is what? Assimilation and internalization. Shemaya used to say, you can go through the scriptures 10 times, but you only need that the scriptures come, the Upanishad, one of the Upanishad goes through once, rather than you going through them. We know pretty much well the difference between Vedanta as a mean of self-analysis, self-investigation, self-inquiry. It's about me, and I'm using that tool, that instrument, to really investigate those declarations of identity until I agree with it, and until I live from that standpoint, until that becomes properly digest, till it becomes a fact for me, doubtless knowledge. So we need to do this. This is the nididhyasana. Some people think that what I need is more shravana, more shravana, more shravana. So there are people that start, they are there 10, 20, 30 years doing shravana. And of course, the mind relaxes a little bit when we do shravana. But ultimately, one needs to do this homework. It's a homework that has to be carried along with our day-to-day interaction now. Our interactions with the field. Okay, let me see if you guys are there. Yeah, I'm not talking a lot. So anything from you?
Am I breaking up?
No.
I also think manana is sometimes undervalued. In my own experience, I think manana is often called for in that assimilation process.
Yeah. It's the lines dividing Shravana from Manana and Nididhyasana are very, very subtle, you know? So when you hear, you don't hear only mechanically, you hear and you reflect upon. So there is a certain degree of Shravana and Manana there, okay? And then when you are no longer hearing, but you are recollecting the teachings, you are doing manana and nididhyasana, because as you reflect, you begin assimilating more clearly, you understand? So, and sometimes some people, they just do the shravana, and then it goes all the way through to assimilation because they are highly qualified, you know? This is very important because we are not here to gain academic knowledge. We are here to get the benefit, experiential benefit for the jiva from the self-knowledge. If it does not really transform us in our life, it has just intellectual philosophical value. And then he says we have to go through Shravana and Manana and Nididhyasana. And then he says, in fact, Shravana replayed again and again is a form of Nididhyasana. You see how it's very vague, the line dividing all of that. Because when you say, no, I mean, it works better for me to listen to the teachings, you know? I mean, we all went through this when I got in contact with, even before Vedanta, so I was so fascinated that I went to listen to those pointers or those expositions again and again until I understood it more clear. I understood them more clear. And he says, Shravana replayed again and again, like I did with a lot of those videos and seminars with James Swart 10 years ago, 8 years ago. So that is a form of Nididhyasana. Is a form of Nididhyasana. Of course it is, because you are recalling, replaying the teaching. So you still need to go back to the books, to the audios, and to the videos. But it comes a point that the teachings is so profound and clearly impressed in your mind. I often say it needs to be alive in your mind so that you can do the Nididhyasana even if you lose the internet, you know? So why? Because now I have the teachings within me, my mind, you know? And then I no longer depend on the internet because since they can censor any kind of spiritual religion expressions in the future as well, you know? So it's better we carry these teachings alive in our mind if we happen to need more nididhyasana in the future to more clearly, even if it's not for assimilating or internalizing, but for purifying, because the more purifying the mind, the the more fruits you enjoy of self-knowledge. And then he's remind us of the stage of dharana and dhyana, and samadhi. So first you, in meditation, you bring the teachings, the mind to the teachings, and the mind is concerned and worrying and anticipating the future, recalling some, you know, it's moving, but then you are bringing the mind to the teachings, and then dhyana is when the mind is there, and then the effort is not to bring the mind to the teaching, it's just to keep the mind there, recollecting the teaching. And Samadhi is when no longer there is effort to keep the mind remembering, its true fundamental nature as limitless consciousness. Swami talks in terms of worldly personality, emotional personality, sometimes intellectual personality. So this self-knowledge helps us to transform which one of these personalities. All of them, the intellect becomes sharper, more intelligent, more clear. But mostly we respond to the stimulus coming from the environment, from the world. We respond with emotion, with a sensation. And then when we put up an action as a response, there is emotion has to be there to emote, to move. Emotion is energy. You need to have a certain emotion to respond as well. So the personality, the emotional personality is what's going to benefit the most, even if the person is not a genius intellectually, but still a person can be seen as a sage. Why? Because look at the way that person responds, there is such a wisdom, nature wisdom. Okay. Dharana, Dhyāna, and Samadhi, we have looked into that over and over again. Yeah, so we need to be able to have a certain power to turn off, the mind from a lot of different roles we play. Now we may cut up with a role here, a role there. We want to do this work, so now the mind should be under. I should be the master of the mind and say, no, those thoughts are not allowed right now. I leave it all outside because now I'm recollecting the teachings that reveal my true nature, and I want to enjoy the fruits once this subconscious knowledge in regards to my limitless nature is there effortlessly. So, and then I enjoy a certain ananda from that without having to kill the mind or remove all the thoughts. No, it's the thoughts that in regards to my true nature. It gives great joy, great joy. And we enjoy the joy as well, huh? We are not masochists. Right, Lynn? Do you understand, Father?
Something about it because they don't. This is not too
Difficult, but I want to know if you understand not only the words, but the concepts. So and so, huh?
Hã?
Os conceitos, você está entendendo? Alguns?
Alguns
ele
ensinamentos que você dá sobre como é que se diz?
A natureza, the nature of the self, the nature of God.
Cada pessoa tem que mudar, né?
A pessoa tem que ser transformada, ele está falando, a pessoa tem que ser transformada com esse ensinamento, senão é simplesmente filosofia, né, pai?
Daí é isso aí. Num todo, é isso que eu penso aí.
Ótimo.
E quem escreveu tudo isso?
Depois eu te conto, pai. I tell you later on who wrote all of that. It came directly from God.
Yeah.
Okay. And then he says the emotional personality needs to be transformed. But before I go through this process, my emotional worldly personality is dominating my mind. And then I take a few moments during the week to contemplate these teachings and think about, reflect upon the true nature of my of what I am, not the worldly emotional personality. And then it is 1 hour, 3 hours, 5 hours a week, it's good, better than nothing, no? But if it's only Sunday between this and that time, it needs to be increased, this process. We need to warm it up, put more. Until it is the opposite. And then he talks about that famous Wayne Dyer, says, you are not human being as spiritual, trying to be spiritual, you are spiritual. So, having a human experience, incidental human experience. This is all over the internet. People repeat it from different angles and traditions. So, but it's to the point. Now, if I see myself as consciousness appearing as a human being, having a human experience, and if I don't lose sight of this reality, and then my incidental personality is not a problem, it's my experiential, so it comes and goes. But I am a consciousness. Consciousness is free and independent. And furthermore, so I get another incidental body-mind sense to carry on experiencing the world. So, but things get confused and people think that, no, I am a human being seeking for the ultimate spiritual experience. And then say, this is the most misleading notion possible that can happen. I am a human being looking for the ultimate spiritual experience. So we don't need to go there again, because we know the experience by nature. They are all impermanent. They have a beginning, a middle, and an end. And the knowledge, especially self-knowledge, is that which once it's gained, it's a particular knowledge that does not require correction, revisions, and, because it's the knowledge in regards to the true nature of reality. That is not subject to correction, revision. And then that is the knowledge that puts an end to the need for other knowledge. And who cares about having a wonderful experience if you know that they come and go? Comes a time that you become so dispassionate. But overall, we want to enjoy a certain peace, an inner satisfaction and peace while exhausting our parabodha karma. So the primary thing is I am consciousness, due to my karma, I appear here. But then the final teachings and the most important thing to understand is I am consciousness. And fundamentally, I was never born, I will never die. There is no karma operating here. There is no question of rebirth or anything, because I am consciousness. And that is possible only by Shravana, Manana, and Nididhyasana that could use some upasana to prep the body-mind for full absorption or full assimilation. And he brings a combination of this dhyāna, is total absorption. Absorption in what? In my true nature. I am Satchitananda consciousness. This is what we call Nirvikalpa Samadhi in our tradition. You cannot be absorbed in the self, but you can be free from this obsession with the world. You cannot, enjoy, really appreciate, even from the standpoint of experience, your true nature, unless you begin to disinvest. If you're totally investing in the world as a means to get ananda, you are never going to get the necessary energy to be in absorption with yourself. Absorption with yourself is like, okay, the world is here. I have no power to cancel this world, but it does not attract me as before. and I don't lose the darshan, the vision of my true nature as limitless consciousness. Well, so this is the samadhi, the absorption, remembrancing, which is effortless and not subject to forgetfulness, you know. This is sahaja samadhi, the nature samadhi, which is the goal of all Vedantins. So we have been looking at the different definitions of samadhi. With the first one, it was about is a tranquil mind. The second one is a darshana, is a vision of non-duality. No? And then the third one we saw, and the fourth one we saw in the verse we did last time, is a mind which is equanimous. No? So it can be defined in so many ways, you know. There are many ways to define anything in Vedanta. No? If you ask what is moksha, you have different ways to define as well. No? What is samsara? Many ways to define. And so is what is samadhi. No? So the last verse, it was more about it's a equanimous mind, and it's a mind that is undisturbed, it's firm, hard and fast, firm knowledge, consolidation of this knowledge. But here he's making a large revision. The second one, he talked about the Atma Darshan, the vision of non-duality. The third one was about Ananda. So you're going to enjoy a sense of peace and satisfaction, which is inherent to your true nature. The very nature of the self is Ananda, is peace and tranquility. So we can describe it from different angles and terms, you know. And here it's in a more generic. It's like it's what? Samadhi is an experience of Ananda. It's peace and satisfaction, happiness, which is not really experiential peace and satisfaction depending on circumstance, but it is peace and happiness and satisfaction inherent to your true nature. And you are just tapping into your true nature. You tap into your true nature. You are just consolidate that certainty of self-knowledge. And then from your true nature, somehow, there is this fragrance, this perfume, which is called satisfaction, peace, ananda. Yeah? So it is experiential, but it is not experiential. When we say it's not experiential, because it's not an experience, it's not a happiness depending on any object of experience. It is a happiness which can be experienced, which is dependent on the tapping into the true nature of myself, which is Ananda by nature. And then you experience a piece of satisfaction. It's not objectively experiential. It's not dualistically experiential, you know. It's not dependent on any object of experience. It's just a natural satisfaction once I tap into my true nature as limitless consciousness. I'm not bound by time and space. This is what I am. Therefore, I feel this confidence, this satisfaction. So therefore, the third one was the sukhan. The third definition is sukhan, great peace and satisfaction, which is beyond understanding, past all understanding, as they say somewhere. Anything from you guys? Sometimes I have to come back to see, make sure that I'm not talking alone.
We are all in samadhi, that's why.
Okay, just I'm just realizing one thing here. Why it's not okay, now it's good. Yeah, my battery was going down because the plug was not totally into the wall. The fourth definition was the it's abiding there, even during transaction. Now it's a firm, alive self-knowledge, and then it's so well established. It's not that my true nature is well established, or I am well established in my true nature. No, there is no question of establishment or relationship or association between the body-mind and the true nature of the body-mind, because there is only the true nature of the body-mind, but is the knowledge, the understanding is fully assimilated and established to the extent that the person abides naturally to what? To that certainty or conviction of self-knowledge. So it does not slips out of this knowledge. Like he says, it will never slip out of one's nature. No, you never slip, you never fall for the ignorance, harm body, mind as me. You remain always firm, subconsciously clear, doubtless clear in regarding to your limitless true nature, even during transactions. So it's more or less like never losing the certainty, as we never lose the center of gravity when we drive a bike. We have seen some examples of driving in India. So it's a nishta, it's a firm. That's called Tattva Nishta or Sahaja Samadhi. Sahaja Samadhi is a term that I like the most. Natural satisfaction, natural mental state. It's a stable, not rigidly stable, but overall properly resolved. How we can put it in words. It is it's a mental state more or less stable due to this nishta knowledge, just firm, clear, and doubtless self-knowledge that produce sahaja samadhi. Samadhi is a state, okay? Samadhi is a state. And then now I'm enjoying samadhi. But it's samadhi in which the body-mind is there and the world is there, the duality is there, but, it's in a certain state because the yani, it somehow it interacts with the world. He cannot, he has no business or interest in canceling the world by producing nirvikalpa samadhi, but accepts this projection as it is by neutralize it, by understand the adhisthana of the world and the body-mind as himself. Everything is a projection upon myself. And this is the fourth definition, is this natural peace and satisfaction, confidence due to a very, very firm and clear conviction of self-knowledge. The fifth definition, I don't know if we have seen in the previous verse, I forgot. So what is the fifth here? Let's go directly to it. So it says that Samadhi is the highest gain in life. Is that the conclusion here? The fifth definition is to clearly understand that self-knowledge and the Sahaja Samadhi is the highest gain in knowledge in life. Is the greatest accomplishment in life. So it's a big stretch to consider this understanding of the greatest value, the greatest thing to be accomplished in life. To call that Samadhi is a bit of a stretch, but we can look into that as well. So it is a clear certainty. That's the highest gain in life. I see the highest gain in life more as more like a very important viveka discrimination, in which I give priority to that which is the most valuable thing and maybe the very purpose of all incarnations, you know, which is the highest gain in life. So the sixth definition is, this is more to the point of definition of Samadhi, in the sense that it's the removal of the psychological suffering, the element of psychological suffering experienced by all human beings. So everybody would like to live free from psychological suffering. And that is also presented as a form of, or a definition of Samadhi, you know, peace, and the individual is no longer grieving or suffering. So isn't it beautiful to be able to not suffering regardless of all unpredictable fluctuations that take place in the world and in the mind? Is still there is something regards that mind that knows its true nature, that it has the strength not to fluctuate much in spite of even tragedies that may come uninvitedly by us, of course, but they come up. Anything from you?
Yeah, I was thinking all of these are really, yeah, he says below, these are all just the poem of Jnana Nishta.
Yeah.
These are, they're sort of cooked into the reality of Aham Brahmasmi.
Yeah.
These are the poems.
Yeah, our scriptures again and again present, sometimes from with different denominations, what is often present as the benefits of self-knowledge, you know. So before we get into this, we need to know what is in there for me, you know. And then you say, oh, it is moksha, but what is moksha? No, it's freedom. Freedom from what, you know? Okay, freedom for what? And okay, but fundamentally, practical benefit, what are the practical benefits? And then we need to describe, the scriptures do describe it again and again to motivate us, because it does not have much of appeal. And if you don't really honestly, like we present here, and so I'm inspired by the words of Swamiji, honestly, but clearly state the benefits as the best game in town, the only thing really intelligent to do in life. So we need to do that.
Yeah, and also a recognition as you are doing the Shravana Manana and Nididhyasana, that what is actually growing is that Aham Brahmasmi, that you're seeing the success. Yeah. Even though Ishta might not be there, you're seeing, as you beautifully say, the fragrance is coming through.
Yeah. Well, the Nishta, this firmness, you know, and consistency, or unforgetful. These things, it's a process, you know, that you know, it may not have a total end in itself, you know. I mean, there are moments that your human nature emerge, and then when you see, you respond from the standpoint of some residual self-ignorance there, which is so profoundly rooted, hardwired in the body-mind. And that's natural, that's okay. But as we hear that, this was a topic that I used to love in the old days before Vedanta. And every time I would see a guru that I had certain special respect, talking about this, I was like, oh, I want to understand. So what is that? So what is the business here of being enlightened and still have some flaws, personality flaws, and this and that? So those are residuals, you know, that may surface. But as Mr. Gadati used to say, you just you immediately regroup and recompose yourself and say, so what? Now, even Nisargadatta, but now Swami Paramarthananda say, so what? In the beginning may come, what? Shoot, you know, and then comes, so what? What's the big deal here, you know?
I love that analogy of riding the bicycle, where you get a little bit on this side, a little bit on that side, but you always can come right back to the center.
Yeah. Sometimes we fall. And no big deal, because we stand up and we never forget how to have our balance, which is self-knowledge is never lost, because once you know, no? Right, Mark?
Yeah, it reminded me of something Rupert Spira said. He said, once the journey to God, once you arrive at God, the journey to God has ended, the journey in God begins. He said, and the challenge of the journey in God is to remember this knowledge at every moment and to live your life from that perspective at every moment.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the ultimate goal. The initial goal from that angle is self-knowledge. And then from self-knowledge, if one is interested, you know, in it becomes so beautiful. I mean, I think that people who became so beautiful, I mean, Ramji used to say that he never met or stayed with someone as beautiful as Abhedananda. I don't think that Abhedananda was working hard to become as beautiful. It's just his karma has produced a beautiful soul. And the same with Ramana Maharaj. So, but talking for myself, is my body-mind complex. So if I have a choice, I prefer to become more balanced, more beautiful, more, you know, more loving, more compassionate. But it's not that I do any effort to become more. It's after self-knowledge, this process becomes kind of effortless. You understand? Because you conform to Dharma. Every time you make a mistake, it comes up. You never feel guilt. Self-knowledge removes the problem of feeling guilt about me having made a mistake. And you just say, oh, you know, I did slip a little. I just, you know, I messed up a little bit here, so I can always apologize and so on. So it all happens naturally and more or less effortlessly, but it's important that we keep association with the scriptures and the guru, you know. So it's the danger is when we just say, okay, I got what I want. I had some of my students in Brazil who did that. Oh, I can't believe Silva calling me now. I have some students here that walked away, and from the guru, this and that can be sometimes a little bit tricky, a little bit dangerous as well. It's recommended to stay in association. Okay, dokie. Oh, where is my text? It's here. Let's say the sixth is this the so what deal. Shoot, what? So what? This is the sixth definition. So what? Freedom from sorrow. Now Krishna is going to give the seventh and the final definitions of yoga. And then it is the 23rd verse, which says, one should know that state, which is dissociation from association with sorrow, to be known as Samadhi. So he's going more into that. Samadhi is freedom from suffering, freedom from sorrow, grief, you know, and psychological problems. And here he puts it, dissociation. So as we know, we cannot dissociate from what we are, but we can dissociate from ignorance in respect to what we are. So it's dissociation from association with what? The effects of ignorance in respect to what we are. What are the effects? The effect is sorrow, grief, you know. Then how are you going to dissociate from grief and sorrow and psychological pain? by dissociating from ignorance. And how are you going to dissociate from self-ignorance? Associate with the scriptures of self-knowledge. So this is Samadhi. Is a very well stretched meaning or definition of Samadhi. Okay, Samadhi is disconnecting from ignorance and connect with knowledge, self-knowledge. Dhyāna yoga leading to that should be practiced with firmness and with tireless mind. So how are you going to be so committed to intensely, systematically, persistently doing this work of associating with the scriptures of self-knowledge, you know? So it can be done only to the extent that our desire and our value and desire has grown. So when our value for this process and our desire for self-knowledge grows, and then the effort is persistent, systematic, consistent, firm, you know, and one is never tired of going back to the scriptures. Okay, one is like, okay, so any free time I want to do this. So this is a mind which is more mature. It has good vairagya that grows together with discrimination, which allows us to know what is truly the most valuable thing, prioritize our life, get reorganizing our life, to the point that I give most of my energy to that which counts the most, you know, which is most valuable. Dissociation from association, I like that one. So it is, you're going to dissociate with the association with the world, the people, things, and circumstances as a means to find happiness. You have to dissociate with that, because that is going to produce what? Suffering, sorrow. So that effort of dissociation, association is here, you know, somehow being present as conducive to Samadhi. So the seventh definition is technical definition, which definition is given to avoid confusion. Confusion can come out of the third definition, which Krishna has given before. The third definition was that atyantika sukham. And a person may think that this knowledge and practice of Samadhi is going to bring about the highest happiness in life. Yeah, you have to be careful, because it's not enough just to dissociate from the world and associate with scripture to get Samadhi, because as we have seen, you have to go through the process of Shravana, Mana, and Nididhyasana, and then the knowledge has to be so firmly and clearly assimilated, digested, processed. So, but it passed through all these stages. This last one here, it could be somehow at the beginning, because you want to remove suffering and sorrow and grief. And for that, you have to dissociate from the world, because the world produces sorrow, and associate with the scriptures and the guru in a very systematic and consistent way. And then Swami explores a different concept here. Don't think that the greatest happiness is going to come as a result of dhyāna. This would be a mistake, because anything that comes in time will definitely be lost in time. He says, any happiness, either if it's coming from an object of experience or it's coming from meditation, meaning to say a state, a mental state, which is an object as well. So what is the difference between sense objects that gives us pleasure? Some, for example, a dish, a meal that you love gives great sensory pleasure. And what is the difference between that and the happiness that comes from a certain state due to meditation? It's still an object of experience, but the state is the mental state of profound meditation is not coming from the 5 channels of sensory experience, but it's coming direct from the mind. The mind is resolved regardless of what is connecting through the 5 channels, sensory channel. The mind somehow, it develops a certain degree of satisfaction, happiness, without depending on the 5 senses. But that is also still an object of experience, because the mind managed to practice to avoid contact with the sensory world, and simply with the silence is going to reflect somehow a very nice experiential state of meditation, which is still an object of experience that come and go. The problem, as we know, is that it changes when you somehow stops the practice, or even during the practice, sometimes you lose. You say, no, it's not possible. It has gone. It has gone. It has to come back. It has to come back. And then the more you try to reproduce that moment, the more you fail. Anything that comes in time will be subject to loss. And that's why those people who claim that I had the greatest bliss in Nirvikalpa Samadhi always talks in the past tense, no? They never say in the present. And then we will feel as if we lost something so bad, so great, wonderful, and beautiful that I feel even more miserable now. And therefore, if you find some mystical bliss due to certain mental states, know that it's subject to time and change, and the beginning, middle, and end. So know that the Samadhi, the Ananda, the peace and satisfaction that you want is something that never arrives. So it never arrives for the intellectual standpoint, because it is just your true nature is non-dual, limitless, infinite conscious existence. But the point of view, from the angle of experience, we can say that this Ananda, it never goes, but it fluctuates a little bit depending on the degree of my interactions with the Dharma field, with the field of interaction. When we interact with the field, unavoidably, the mind is going to change, The moment that we begin interacting, the mind is going to be contact, this circumstance, that circumstance, these people, this thing, that, oh, I'm going to start my car. Oh my God, I left some lights on and now the battery is off. So every time you interact, the mind is going to have a feel, a sensation, emotion, a state, okay? It is how it is, right? And then what is Sahaja Samadhi? It's somehow a certain strength or balance, protection against these fluctuations in a way that the yoni somehow does not really fall. It may feel like, oh, God, shoot, this and that, and now, so what? Oh, so what? So it should never arrive. It's not never. This Ananda is infinite. It regards your true nature. The knowledge should never be forgotten. It's always there. But from the standpoint of the benefit of this knowledge, so the fluctuation is reduced to minimum, and the recovery time is very fast. You remember, the recovery time is important, how often and how profound our negative response or emotions are whenever there is a very challenging or adverse experience, okay? So the infinite Ananda is always available as knowledge, and this knowledge should be read and available to protect us every time we deal with difficult or tragedies and so on, okay? And experientially speaking, the benefits is a mind that is much more equanimous, much more strong, much more immune and protect to deal with life. Because living a life in the world, the mind changes, but changes much less, and the recovery is very fast, and one is never really, definitely taking any of this serious because of self-knowledge. Then how to get infinite Ananda? After finishing everything, you are asking this question. So if you get it, you will lose it. So you cannot get infinite Ananda because infinite Ananda is your true nature. But how to enjoy the benefits of knowing that I am infinite Ananda? So just get this knowledge to be a Nishta knowledge, firm, clear, and always available and alive in your mind. And then every time adversity hits us, and then we are well protected. In truth, philosophically, in reality, I will never gain it. I will never lose it. But in practical, empirically, so I may get more or less certainty and firmness of conviction of self-knowledge, okay? So this self-knowledge was got, it is properly digested, but still there is some residual human experience or response to experience that I say these things from my angle of experience, you know, these things, they come and they come with less and less power, with less and less identification with those things. You know, this is the process of refinement, purification for self-knowledge. My nature is infinite. I never need to gain it because it's my nature, but I never enjoyed it because I need to remove the ignorance that was preventing me from appreciating and enjoy it. Now that I remove most of the ignorance, sometimes I don't really enjoy it fully when there is too much adversities, because in those moments, some residual piece of self-ignorance may prevent it, but it's immediately seen for what it is, okay, and does not really affect me, even if I may have a certain human reactions, such as that very famous guru that running from the elephant, he ran and he climbed a tree to save his life. It's natural. We are animals with self-knowledge now. This is a good one, huh? After all, we are animals with self-knowledge. What do you think of this one? Sometimes we respond from some impulse, instincts from our animal, but we have self-knowledge. And then I said, there is no need to fight. No? But since I have a love, the love for being, the love for existence building into every construct, so if there is a tragedy here, there is a tsunami, the first thing I'm going to do is to go up, and here we are close to the sea, to the lake. So first thing is going to the roof of the house. See, level starts going up, and then I have to climb in a big tree, which is much higher. So it's natural, you know. Isn't it? The love. In Sagada Maharaj, he used to say the love to be, the love to exist. No? That's very nice. You need to remove the obstacles between you and the enjoyment of your true nature. It's exactly like in the medical doctor giving you health by treatment. Here, we give the scriptures with a guru But nobody's going to give you the health. The doctor cannot give health. It can give you a diagnosis and the remedy, but you have to do the work. Because the disease is an incidental thing. There was a time that living in the USA that I was so ill, so sick, that sometimes I would ask the people treating me. I never went to really the medical system because I never trust them. But in the alternatives here and there, I say, can I die of this, this condition? But I say, I don't think you will die of this. No, this will pass. It looks like it's not going to pass, but it will pass. Because those are incidental conditions that can be reversed if you stop doing a lot of things that has brought about that incidental unhealth disease, So which is unnatural is going to be expelled if we stop bringing about that unhealth condition due to bad lifestyles and bad habits and attitudes. So the same with Vedanta. The scripture is the medicine, the guru is the doctor, but the patient or the disciple has to do what? Has to go through the treatment, have to follow through until all the toxins of the mind are removed. The same way, our true nature is the most health thing. It's ananda, it's peace and satisfaction. And we want to enjoy this ananda. So we need to remove the disease. This is, we are no longer at ease with our nature. We are dis-ease with our nature. And we know by what? By suffering, having difficult, painful reactions, a disturbed mind, a problematic mind. So he goes through some of these analogies here between the doctor and the guru, and the scriptures and the medicines. Samadhi is remaining health in the natural state of the mind. The body-mind is a well properly integrated complex, organism. So what is Samadhi? Is to have a health body-mind, living in a natural state of Samadhi, which is only possible as Sahaja Samadhi, holding the knowledge of my Purna nature, my Purna Purnatvam, by negating what is unnatural, negating the disease, negating of the ignorance that produce dis-ease. None of this is natural. Therefore, even sorrow and suffering, they go hand in hand, either the word, the body, mind. Then what is my svarupam? Aham, Shivo, Aham, Shivo, Aham, Shivo, Aham, Shivo, Aham. And therefore, I see, Swami was inspired. He keeps going. We're going to have to stop here. I want to complete this 23rd. And then he's going to talk about the health mind, a mind that is not overexcited, not over depressed, the mind that did not develop bad habits such as depression, pessimism, and self-diffidence, and many other attitudes which are very bad. Okay, we'll stay here. Are you still there, or am I talking alone? Let me open it.
Still here.
Okay, I'm going to take care of this today. to make it all good for next class so that I see you guys while you see me as well. Anything from you guys? Anything else?
Just to thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mark. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishate Om Shanti 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 Om. Namaste. We meet again
Thank
this
you,
coming Monday.
Okay, great.
Bye-bye.
Bye now.